Helene Zille, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. Can I start where we left off with the two young people who are in studio here? They say, well, when it comes to youth empowerment, youth unemployment, the Western Cape is actually no different from any other province in the country.
Well, you just need to look at our employment figures. Our unemployment is much lower in the Western Cape than it is in any other province, and that includes youth unemployment. Just because the National Youth Development Agency came to us with a half-baked plan did not mean that we were going to pour money into the National Youth Development Agency. Their record is pitiful, to put it mildly. We remember that they organised that kissing festival at one stage. Their record in job creation is pitiful. The one thing that they stand out for is being able to consume large amounts of money without really producing many jobs to show for it.
So you weren't keen to give them money because you thought that their plan wasn't up to scratch?
Well, I don't make these decisions. I make sure that the people who know about economic development more than I do make these decisions. But the track record of the National Youth Development Agency shows that when you put money into them, then you're really talking about cadre deployment, cadre empowerment, and jobs for PELs, if there are any jobs to be had at all. So the National Youth Development Agency must up its game, must develop a reputation for integrity, for efficiency, and then maybe people will see it as an agency that does actually create jobs rather than cushy jobs for the ANC Youth League.
Well, let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about this evening, and that's your move to this institute. Tell us what you're going to be doing there and why you made this particular move.
Thank you, Vuyo. Well, I am certainly not going to be winding down, as you said. I'm not ready to wind down yet. I've got many, many years of active service ahead of me. I really believe that South Africa can succeed on the basis of policies that grow the economy, create jobs, defend the rule of law, and create a future for every South African of real opportunity so that they can live a life they value. And I'm going to be pursuing those ideas, and the Institute of Race Relations is one of the clearest platforms to do it in South Africa today.
Why race relations? Were there no other institutes that you could identify yourself with which perhaps have the same or similar goals?
Oh yes, no doubt. But I've been doing a lot of reading of the things that they've been putting out recently. I've been corresponding with their various employees and fellows and other things. I've been very impressed by the campaigns they have taken, and those are the people who made contact with me and with whom I made contact. So it was a good fit, and you know, when you get a good fit, you don't look around anymore. You find the good fit and you use it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you've seen many reflections on people talking about, writing about what they think of the Institute of Race Relations and how, as some of them say, it is nothing but the bastion of a looming right-wing army that once characterized itself as liberals.
Actually, the most amazing thing, Vuyo, is what was seen to be very progressive and in fact left-wing not too long ago, has suddenly and inexplicably morphed into something that is now defined as right-wing. I believe in non-racialism. I believe in a market-based economy because that is the only one that can grow sufficiently to create jobs. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in a capable state. If that is to be right-wing, then I'm afraid that's what I'm going to have to be called, because 30 years ago I was called communist for believing exactly the same things. So it's the values that I strive towards without worrying about the labels that opponents attach to me. You really can't worry about what your opponents say about you, because they're always going to find a pejorative label to hang on you. And you really can't take that too seriously.
Well, I mean, it's not based only on what your opponents have to say about you, but your, shall I call them, Trump-esque tweets and utterances.
There's nothing Trump-esque about my utterances or my tweets, except for people who are searching and trawling the internet to look for reasons to be outraged. And there's no shortage of those people. There's no shortage of bots and trolls trying to manufacture outrage. No shortage at all. I'm fascinated in the new film, The Great Hack, in which they said that Cambridge Analytica worked for a political party twice in South Africa to discredit its opponents. So that is very interesting, and we should actually dig a little bit further into those leads. So I've never said anything that's Trump-esque. You can't take any tweet out of context. It always comes as part of a conversation. And for the outrage manufacturers, they're always digging around. I call them outrage archaeologists, looking for reasons to be offended.
But, I mean, I don't think you can just ascribe this to your opponents trying to find the air or to clutching at straws, because, I mean, in the same way that you're saying you were labeled a lefty at some point and now you're said to be right-wing, I mean, we've seen how, what we thought were once very committed people to our revolution who have turned out to be some of the most corrupt people we have ever seen. So it doesn't mean that because of what you were in the past, you will remain so. And you should allow, people to argue about what they think you have become.
I always allow people to argue. It's just that I don't always agree with them. The bottom line is that, was I non-racial then, and did I believe in non-racialism? Yes. Was I labeled for believing in non-racialism? Yes. Do I believe in non-racialism today? Yes. Am I labeled for believing in non-racialism? Yes. Because people now say you are racist if you're non-racial because you don't see race. The entire debate has changed fundamentally. And with respect, Vuyo, you can't say that because some people were part of the revolution before and they're corrupt now, that that is a parallel to my situation. I have never supported what is known as the National Democratic Revolution because that will destroy South Africa. We're seeing what's happening to South Africa now, and that's not a coincidence. That's a direct consequence of the so-called National Democratic Revolution, in which the party has to control the state has to control the economy. You collapse the market economy, you start messing around with people's rights and curtailing their rights, giving the rights to a faction of the party that deploys its cadres everywhere else, and the result is what you see today, over 10 million people unemployed. So if anybody mistakenly thought I was with a National Democratic Revolution, they are making a big mistake. I was always with a democratic transformation of the society to a non-racial, inclusive society where everyone has a real opportunity in life. That's what I've always pursued. I pursued it then, I pursue it now.
Well, the point I was really making is that simply because you were what you once were doesn't necessarily mean you can't be something else tomorrow, for a whole host of reasons that drive people to sort of, change their belief systems or the things they do. But here's what I would like to ask you. It is that, you've spoken about the curtailment of people's rights. What, from what is happening today in South Africa, are the sort of things that you feel particularly strongly about, and the things that you'll be pursuing in the role that you'll be playing within the Institute for Race Relations?
Yes, Vuyo, the thing that I feel most strongly about is that there are over 10 million people unemployed. And youth unemployment is about 56%. We've also got to remember, Vuyo, that 30% of South Africans are under 15 years old. So what we are still facing coming up to us is a huge bulge of even greater unemployment. So the thing that worries me most is unemployment, and particularly youth unemployment. And in order to deal with that, we have to grow the economy and create jobs. And in order to do that, there's got to be investment and confidence in the future. And if, for example, the government starts messing about with property rights, then you're going to have a situation where there can't be investment and won't be economic growth, and there will be fewer and fewer jobs. Most people worry most of all about unemployment in South Africa, like I do. And we need to build the middle ground of South African politics where we all work together for policies that will generate confidence, investment, grow the economy, and create jobs. That is what I will be focusing on more than anything, to create that climate.
Helene Zille, thank you very much for your time this evening. The former DA leader and Western Cape Premier is, of course, is now a part of the Institute for Race Relations.